First with breaking news. First with new information. Plus, your first alert forecast. 19 News starts now with a breaking news alert.
All right, we begin with breaking news on what is going to be a traffic nightmare. There really is no way around it. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Brian Duffy.
And I'm Nicole Versansky. So ODOT just announced that as of right now, they are closing the majority of the northbound Jennings freeway. So emergency repairs are needed. This is a live look. This is the bridge, if you're familiar, near Steel Yard Commons. Emergency repairs are needed. This is going to be closed from 4 o'clock today, so about right now, through early June. The northbound stretch of the Jennings that will be closed goes from 480 to West 14th Street around Steel Yard Commons and Denison Avenue. ODOT says a key component of this bridge by Steel Yard Commons needs to be fixed immediately.
Yeah, and if you know anything about the Jennings, that's basically the whole Jennings freeway because that's where it turns into 71. So this will have a huge impact on traffic into downtown, especially now. Consider that the I-90 Central Interchange project has traffic on 77 North already into town slowed to a crawl. The Jennings was being used by many to avoid that area, especially in the morning. And many from the west side were using 480 and then the Jennings to avoid the construction on 90. But ODOT telling us simply safety, as it should, comes first.
The bridge pier cap is what is the issue here. So if you have bridge piers, which are the posts that hold up a bridge, there's a horizontal piece of concrete that the damage to it and the wear and tear on it was a little more extensive than initially thought. And in the safety of making a good repair that will last for years to come in the safety of the motoring public.
That's Brent Kovacs, and I asked him specifically if the bridge was safe, and he said no, the bridge is unsafe at this point. The closure will, of course, have the most effect as people try to get into the city.
Now we got a Monsters game coming up tonight. We know the Cavs, the Guards play tomorrow. Heads up as this road closure goes into effect. Let's bring in traffic anchor Rachel Veda. She's here to show us what's going on and the detours, most importantly here, Rachel.
So if you have loved ones who would typically head north on the Jennings Freeway, you need to call them to let them know that now it is 4 o'clock, which means the Jennings Freeway northbound will be shut down from 480 to Denison Avenue. There's still a couple cars here, but you would need to take this detour now. So what you're going to want to do here to avoid all of this, as you're going to need to, is you're going to have to take 480 to 77. From there, you're going to take 77 north from 480 past Newburgh Heights all the way to 490. From 490, you're going to be heading west. That will bring you to the Jennings Freeway southbound eventually, and then that is where you can use your exit there, and then you're going to have to use those side roads to get to where you would typically head to. But right now, we're already starting to see some stop-and-go traffic from drivers who are needing to take this detour here, as we have that stretch of 480 going to be closed down, obviously, to the Jennings Freeway north. So taking a look where we have the intersection of 480 and 77, this is going to be filling up more so than usual now that we are going to be having this detour in place. So far, the freeway is pretty clear just south of Grant Avenue after 480, so no stop-and-go traffic there. But then we run into some of those construction slowdowns because of the single file lane that drivers are needing to be going into on 77 northbound after 490. And as you can see here in this live look over by Pershing Avenue is where we have that bumper to bumper traffic already accumulating. So again, we're going to be dealing with some major slowdowns here on 77 northbound now that we have more traffic filling up the freeway as a detour, but also again, because we have that construction reducing you to just a single file lane on 77 northbound from 490 until you get into downtown. But as for 490, so far you're relatively clear here, even though we do have some slowdowns because of construction there. But I'll be keeping my eye on that and let you know how that's going to be impacting your commute in my first alert traffic updates. But just another heads up here, we still have this crash in Canton on 77 northbound after 62, but this is not causing any more stop and go traffic.
All right, moving on now. A Wayne County man accused of stabbing the sheriff and a sergeant there had a lot to say in court today.
He certainly did. Chan Palmer was arraigned this afternoon, but he kept interrupting the judge and he wouldn't stop.
No, he wouldn't. First at 4, Brittany Weir, live for us outside the courthouse. Brittany, what exactly went on there today?
Brian and Nicole, Chad Palmer, he created quite a scene this afternoon right here inside the Wayne County Court of Common Pleas. Like you said, he appeared virtually, but the entire time he just kept talking over the judge, forcing that judge to end the arraignment abruptly. Now, this was Palmer's first appearance in court since Tuesday's violent attack on 2 Wayne County officers.
This is corruption at its finest. Mr. Palmer.
Chad Palmer, 33 of Orville, is charged with 2 counts of attempted murder and 2 counts of felonious assault. Thursday, he faced a judge for the first time.
Mr. Palmer, be quiet. Be quiet. Mr. Palmer, you need to be quiet.
Palmer repeatedly interrupted the proceedings, telling the judge he did not care about his bond.
I don't care about your bond. I want a federal investigator. This matter is going to be set.
It all started Tuesday morning. Wayne County Sheriff Thomas Ballinger and Sergeant Dan Broom responded to a suspicious person report on Congress Road in West Salem. Body camera footage shows the moment that Palmer attacked both officers with a pocket knife, then taking off.
Partner, give me a squad. I've been stabbed.
I felt something on my arm, but it didn't hurt. Felt something on my arm. I turned, looked down at my arm. I saw it. And by the time I turned back around, Sergeant reported that he got me.
This triggered a massive manhunt involving multiple law enforcement agencies. For nearly 2 hours, Palmer hid in a shed near the woods, dousing himself in gasoline and going live on Facebook. Well, that Facebook Live helped investigators track him down. This video taken by 19 News shows the moment that Palmer surrendered.
Unfortunate that this even took place to begin with, but it's a reality for us. I'm just glad that it ended the way it did.
This is not Palmer's first run-in with the law. He's been on parole since 2024. Court records show in 2017 that he rammed a cruiser in an attempt to harm a deputy. And Palmer was appointed an attorney. His bond hearing is set for May 19th at 10 a.m. Live in Wayne County, Brittany Weir, 19 News.
Now your 19 First Alert forecast. Certified most accurate since 2004.
All right, winds are still a little gusty as we've kind of gone through this morning and early afternoon. At times, seeing winds gust upwards of 25, even 35 miles per hour in a few spots. But the gradual trend as we go through the rest of this afternoon and evening is that those winds will start to relax just a little bit more. So keep that in mind. As we kind of go through this next 24-hour period, we are going to see those temperatures turning around. We're going to be back into the 60s on Friday, and then we've got more summer-like temperatures to return just in time for the weekend. And the sunshine that you see, that will be a little bit more common in our forecast as well. It is beautiful out there this evening despite some of the cooler temperatures. If you do have evening plans, just kind of keep that in mind. With the temperature back into the middle 50s, say as we get closer to 7 p.m., you factor in the wind, it's probably going to feel more so like you're sitting into the lower 50s, and that trend will continue until we can get rid of that wind speed a little bit more as we head into tonight. Clear skies, calming winds, temperatures will be back into the lower 40s. I do think we'll be safe of any frost concerns by early tomorrow. It's just going to be on the colder side as we wait for those warmer temperatures to arrive. I'll talk more about that coming up here in just a few minutes.
It's a good school. It's fantastic, and I mean, they really do a lot of good work with these kids over there, and it's a shame to see something like this happen to them.
Community is rallying around a local high school softball team. They lost most of their equipment, bats, gloves, and gear in a fire.
Yeah, that fire at Midview High in Grafton. It was breaking news yesterday at this time. First at 4, Colton Molesky joins us with how people are really hitting a home run by helping out.
The Midview softball team, that's who lost a lot of gear in that fire earlier this week. People in the area, though, they aren't standing by. They're trying to help.
We all stick together. One big happy family out here.
The scene Wednesday at Midview High School when a fire started in the varsity girls' locker room.
There was smoke inside of the gymnasium. The school was evacuated and all students were accounted for.
It was unreal. I've never seen so many fire trucks.
Michael Kistner has lived across from the school his whole life, growing up in the house next door. He and his wife Lana were alarmed at first.
Well, yeah, they were coming from both directions and sirens and ambulances.
But now that they know what happened, they want to help.
But I know that Grafton will pull it together because it's become a really tight-knit community.
Hours after the fire, social media posts like these started popping up. A local tavern putting together a raffle. The Grafton Business Association gathering gear. Everyone trying to help out the squad.
High school kids, any of the kids, they're very polite, very nice. So, yeah, we would help them out anytime we could.
In a statement, the school says it is still working to figure out exactly what was lost and what the team needs. Adding school staff is incredibly grateful for the support of a community that, quote, never fails to rally around our students. And you can get involved too. There's links to how you can help on our website. In Grafton, Colt Molesky, 19 News.
New information on what were plans to build a more than $1 billion data center in Slavic Village. Cleveland city leaders have just shot down the application. The proposed site was on 35 acres off East 55th. The 150 megawatt center generated a lot of questions and concerns about electrical power and water resources that would have been used by that data center. We continue to follow our breaking news now. Inspectors have found a key component, they say, of a bridge on the Jennings Freeway that has created dangerous conditions for people driving over the bridge. It has been closed and will be at least until June.
So this is going to cause significant travel issues for people trying to get into downtown Cleveland, especially tomorrow's early commute. That's going to be a hot mess. Consider that ODOT just began the Central Interchange project. That slowed down traffic on 77 North significantly. That is going into the city as well. And then a lot of people coming from the east and the south, they've been using the Jennings, what's being closed right now, to avoid that traffic.
They have. Also, many from the west, hoping to avoid construction on 90, have been using the Jennings to try and get around that. Now that option is gone for them, so it is going to get very slow into the city in the mornings.
All right, ODOT telling us safety comes first, and they had no choice but to close this bridge. They say at this point it is unsafe. Once again, breaking news, the Jennings Freeway being shut down until June. Right near Steelyard Commons between 480, pretty much the whole stretch of the Jennings Freeway.
The whole stretch northbound. We want to be very clear about that. Southbound remains open. All right, a 19 safety alert. As the temperatures start going up, so does the crime rate.
The city of Cleveland is taking a new approach to violence prevention this summer, and it started with a neighborhood walk today.
First at 4, Aria Janelle has our story.
What's going on? Good to see you. You doing okay?
Mayor Justin Bibb and the city of Cleveland are hitting the streets this summer. We walked through Gordon Square to talk about his summer safety plan.
We recognize that in the summer months we see increases in violent crime. We also recognize that police can't do it alone.
According to the city's crime database, between June 1st and the end of August last year, there were a little over 22,000 offenses. That's everything from public intoxication to more serious crimes like robbery and assault. While that number has been trending down over the past 3 years, Mayor Bibb says part of this year's safety plan is bringing City Hall to your front door, hoping more information from you leads to quicker responses from them. And it's not just about crime.
Not only will we be knocking on doors, building complaints, making sure we fix potholes, install more speed tables, we also want to make sure that we're following up.
Bibb tells me nothing is too big or too small for his team to try and tackle.
The biggest complaint we actually get has not been violent crime. It's actually speeding.
Really?
And groundhogs.
Our 19 News troubleshooters are very familiar with the groundhog issue in the city. Mayor Bibb says through their Cleveland Thrive initiative, they've invested $1 million in things like trapping the groundhogs, but also giving our kids free activities from June to August.
Esports, to arts and crafts, to 3-on-3 basketball, to learning how to be a DJ, which I might go check out.
That sounds cool.
And so all those activities are meant to really make sure that young people have something productive to do to keep them busy.
Thank you.
All right, that was Aria Janelle reporting. You can sign your kids up for the free programs right now. Registration is open. We have the very latest on Cleveland19.com.
Well, the Cavs did it in nail-biting fashion, that's for sure. They pulled ahead of the series against the Pistons on the road.
What a win. Hundreds of Cavs fans, too, got a chance to see last night's amazing win, thanks in person to the owner, Dan Gilbert. Take a look at the party. The Cavs owner paid for more than 500 fans and 100 employees to go to last night's game in Detroit. Bus ride, food tickets, all free. He's a heck of an owner, I got to tell you. All free for these fans. As you can see, they really enjoyed themselves before, during, and after the game. Game 6 back here in Cleveland tomorrow. 19 News will have live coverage all day long. Mark Schwab joins us in just a few minutes with what we learned from last night's game.
Well, if you think you have the voice to make history, we want to hear it. As part of our We the People celebration, 19 News is inviting you to be part of the Star Spangled Sing-Off. One lucky person going to win an all-expenses-paid trip to Nashville to film a performance that will air on stations across the country. To enter, you submit a solo or a cappella performance of the national anthem. You do have to be 18 years old or older. You have to live here in Northeast Ohio. You can upload your video and see the rules at cleveland19.com/contests. Videos have to be uploaded by noon on May 31st. Voting begins in June. Good luck.
Now your 19 First Alert forecast. Certified most accurate since 2004.
All right, stepping out for any evening plans. Temperatures out east a little bit cooler into the low to mid 50s. Everywhere else, upper 50s to about lower 60s, all thanks to a little bit of that sunshine. Now, if you are headed downtown, because the Monsters are going to take on the Toronto Marlies tonight for their first game of this series at 7 o'clock, temperatures will be into the lower 50s at puck drop. So just kind of keep in mind that after the game, you're likely talking a temperature that's starting to drop now at that point into the upper 40s. So definitely bring a coat if you have a little bit of a farther distance to walk. By tomorrow, we're starting to turn things around. We get this warmer trend that works back in, temperatures back into the middle 60s. You'll have a few clouds around, but I think tomorrow is a dry day because you're in between kind of this cooler pattern that we were experiencing now versus the warmer, more humid conditions that'll work back in for the weekend. And with that will come an opportunity for a daily chance for rain and a few rumbles. You'll notice temperatures for the day tomorrow going to be a little bit below average. We're into the mid 60s, but quickly exceeding that point through the weekend and headed into the early part of this next week. As I mentioned, rain chances not likely as we go through the day tomorrow. You'll have some clouds around, but it should keep us pretty clear here as we get our Saturday started. That said, a few spot showers, maybe an isolated rumble of thunder possible through the morning, though I think the better chance for rain and maybe a few rumbles coming together late Saturday into early Sunday.
All right, now to your top 4 at 4, and that includes ODOT announcing it is closing a large portion of the Jennings Freeway for emergency repairs, and it will remain closed through early June. You're seeing some massive type of traffic backup there already. The northbound stretch of Jennings that will be closed goes from 480 to West 14th at Denison. That's basically the whole northbound stretch. ODOT says a key component of the bridge by Steelyard Commons needs to be fixed immediately. This will cause significant traffic issues in the morning. Many were using the Jennings to avoid the traffic backups on 77 northbound into the city due to a construction project at 90. The Orville man accused of stabbing the Wayne County Sheriff and a sergeant appeared in court today.
Chad Palmer is facing attempted murder, felonious assault charges, but during the video arraignment, Palmer had to be told repeatedly to be quiet. But as you can see in this video, he just goes on and on and on. The judge actually appointed him an attorney, set a bond hearing for next Tuesday. Wayne County Sheriff Thomas Bollinger and Sergeant Dan Broom, they were stabbed Tuesday. This is body cam video of that attack. Then Palmer ran off. They had been responding to a suspicious person call. The officers will be okay. Bedford Heights police are investigating a deadly hit and run. They released this video from the crime just after midnight yesterday. Police say the driver of that car hit a person on Aurora Road and took off. We do not know the victim's name. We do know he's 33 years old. Anyone with information about what happened or this vehicle that you're seeing here on your screen, call police.
Finally fixed. Yeah, that massive sinkhole at West St. Clair and West 3rd. The area has been closed since March 8th. Wow, so almost, 2 months to get this thing fixed. Pavement gave way there. A 72-year-old driver went into it, but only for a moment. He was able to get out. Crews filled the hole and repaved the area just in time for the Cleveland Marathon. Breaking news happening right now in Akron. The fire department just confirmed a small plane has crashed into a house.
What we understand is that no one in the house was hurt. As far as people on the plane, we are unclear of that right now. This is not far from Firestone Country Club. Jeff Slauson joining us now with a closer look at where this is happening and where this plane went down.
Yeah, and as Nikki mentioned there, it's going to take some time before we can fully determine the exact gravity of this and how many people potentially were involved on the plane. We mentioned that there's the fortunate situation with nobody in the homes there. So let's just get to the specifics here. So this is Akron Fulton right there. That's Akron Fulton Airport. That typically handles the smaller planes. So you're thinking more personal planes, 3-seaters, 4-seaters, things like that. Whenever we do see these types of crashes, these types of incidents, again, these smaller planes are going to that airport right there. This area here, this is Canterbury Circle. This is the area where that plane crashed. It's in this neighborhood right in the middle of that circle there. So you can see the proximity. A couple of things I want to be very clear on. Cannot say whether or not they took off or were planning to land at that specific airport at Akron Fulton. However, the proximity to it obviously does show that it was fairly close. But again, we do not know who was in that plane, what plane was involved. We are still actively working on that and are working to get a crew on the scene. As far as first responders and things like that related to it, with this type of a scene, with this type of attention, typically when we've had this type of situation, we cannot get the specifics right now, but of course, as soon as we do get those, we'll let you know as soon as possible. Again, recapping our breaking news here, we do know for a fact that we have a plane that is down very short distance away from the Akron Fulton airport. That is an airport, again, that typically sees smaller planes. Nobody hurt in the home, but of course, we are waiting to learn more information as soon as it becomes available.
Well, that was a lot of fun. Sort of. Very stressful last night as we get to the Cavs, who got their biggest playoff win in years, just when they needed it most.
Yeah, never had a doubt, right? You knew they were going to pull it off the whole time, right? They really turned the series around, though. Hopefully for the good. Let's bring in Mark Schwab with more.
Yeah, that was a blast. Down 9, 2.5 minutes left. Had him right where you wanted him, right? A lot of teams would have been done. A lot of Cavaliers teams would have been done in years past. Not these guys. Not last night. The comeback started with Evan Mobley, who was everywhere down the stretch. He was blocking shots. He was hitting threes as the Cavaliers scored 9 straight to force the extra stanza, and then Donovan Mitchell took over with 7 of his 21 in overtime. That 3 was huge, and then this next play, Strus picks a pocket and finds a pair on a driving Mitchell. Cavs outscored the Pistons 24-10 to put this thing away and go up 3-2 in this series.
We've been saying this all along. It's a deep team. It's going to be everybody every single night. It's not just be one person. And I think tonight was a perfect example of that.
Resiliency, grit. Took everything we had. Just possession by possession, just wearing them down, finding ways to win. Getting the ball in his hands, getting the ball in Evan's hands, making plays, and getting stops.
It's like a real family from just the organization and then the city. Like everybody's connected, and you can feel that. So I'm just happy and excited to be a part of, this organization and the direction that they're going.
You stick with it, you stay focused, you stay locked in, and trust the process, trust the team, trust the coaches, and usually basketball guys pay you back.
All right, so Game 6 tomorrow, back here. Charles Barkley said last night, Game 6 is Game 7 for the Cavs. I tend to agree. They do not want to go back to Detroit. And speaking of Detroit, the Pistons are still crying about the referees. Still. I have that at 5. Reporting live, Mark Schwab, 19 News.
Charles Barkley had a lot to say about Max Strus last night, too. He did have a phenomenal game.
Yeah, Max was great. He's the heart and soul of this team, at least in these playoffs so far, right? I don't see how he couldn't be.
So aggressive, and we needed it last night.
Yeah,
he was
so
great.
good.
All right, well, from the Cavs to the Monsters, we've got some more playoff excitement. 3 down, 11 to go. Have you seen this billboard? It's on I-90 coming into town from the west side. After every win, someone climbs up there and spray paints an X, marking one game closer to bringing the Calder Cup back to Cleveland. Game 1 of their best-of-5 series starts tonight at Rocket Arena. You can watch them take on the Toronto Marlies. That's on Cleveland's 43. Puck drops at 7 p.m.
That means our news will still be streaming for you to watch on 19 News Plus. We have news at 7 p.m., followed by First Alert Focus at 7:30, and we then more news for you. 19 News at 9. 19 News Plus is free to download on Roku, Amazon Fire, or Apple TV.